Hi everyone, Phil Calvin here, Chief Product Officer at Delinea. We're here at RSA. I'm here with Albert Biketi, and we're about to talk a little bit about Delinea and Yubico's partnership.
Hi, so I joined Yubico about 6 months ago to run product and engineering, and based on DC, and it's great to be partnered with Delinea.
Awesome, yeah, very exciting about it. Yeah. It's no secret, especially here at RSA, you've got a tremendous amount of agentic and AI influence. I don't think in my role as a Chief Product Officer, I can go more than a few sentences without saying AI. So give me your perspective. How does UBI fit in that?
So Yubico has been looking at the problem of authentication for a long time. But the way we look at it, we understand that authentication is a stepstone to stronger authorization. And in the world of agents, where an agent can have persistent memory and take actions in the real world, can call tools to get stuff done, authorization actually becomes a really challenging thing to get right.
Yeah.
And I think as people start to recognize the advanced power of agents, they also start to recognize why it's so important for a human to be at least part of that process, especially when certain threshold conditions are met.
Yeah, I'm very aligned with that. What I see is that traditionally something like a UBI key was used for, like I log in the morning and I hit my hardware key in and that's the end of it. At Delinea, our focus is really on the authorization, ongoing authorization. Yeah. And so if an agent is doing something and then a human has to approve it, they're not re-authenticating. They're just providing, say, a multi-factor check and balance. And then is that the kind of thing you're seeing?
I mean, there's that, yes. Yeah. But then there's also the concept of what are you signing? And are you signing it in a way that creates the kind of audit trail that you want in the industry? But as processes get redesigned to take advantage of the power of agents with parallelization and all of that, we start to run into questions around is this the right humor at the right time, making a check, at least the correct tool calls that are happening. And so I think what we found that has been really exciting about working with YubiKeys and Delinea is the ability to bring together some of the strongest capabilities of both companies around what it means to actually say, is this the human or a human in the loop? And at least the set of authorizations and policies around which that action is supposed to happen.
Again, I think that makes a ton of sense. When you look at, say, you're redesigning a process around an agentic flow. Yeah. Maybe like 10% of the process runs and then a human has to approve the next step and you sort of go through that whole sequence. I can say, that makes a lot of sense. And it provides, and I think you touched on this, the governance and accountability and auditing trail is a framework to say, well, this is what happened, Phil approved it, and this is why he did it, because this was the audit trail. I think that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, and I think also we're so early in the power of agents that if you start looking at some of the emerging research that shows what's going to happen, durability around agents and agentic processes is going to become a thing. Agents are going to graduate from doing a couple of tasks to doing a collection of tasks that start to look like a job.
Yeah.
And that's when you start to see a massive value unlock. 100%. But together with that, you're not going to have a scalable model where your agent is asking you all the time for things. But when you rank all the things that your agent is supposed to come back and ask you for some input on, you want to curate what those most high value actions are. Yeah. The ones that are consequential, the ones where access to an external environment with untrusted inputs, access to private and sensitive information, and the ability to change state in the world. Like when you see that the combination of those inputs is at a critical threshold for something consequential, it is important to have a process that can invoke a human in the loop that is.
I'll give you an example where that really resonates with us. So we like a lot of software companies are experimenting with, having sort of AI farm to deliver, actually building our software.
Yes.
And so we have agents that have skills across product design, across product management, adversarial skills like red teams, code review, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then the agent can do all that stuff and can work on a particular product or a particular feature. But then they can do that without, that's not a secure operation. If they were doing that in a sandbox for every agent.
Yeah.
But then you want to go and commit that and make a pull request automatic. Then you need a human in the loop. You need to verify the humans in the loop. Is that following along?
Yes, it does. And actually it does follow where the skills for practitioners are going to go.
Right.
Both in terms of software development and security.
Yeah.
You know, the highest value skills in this agentic era are going to be about making quality evaluations and holding the long-lived context for the problems that we're trying to solve. And that is an inherently human skill. Agents are going to be fairly far away from operating without a high-quality spec that embeds a lot of the context. And so some of the things that Delinea is doing, frankly, around agentic software development, that's level 5 stuff in terms of like where the world is going to go.
Yeah.
And when you bring that combined with the high value, high context human that is providing input at the right place at the right time, you end up having the most scalable oversight model for the power of these agents.
You definitely do. And again, if I go back to the software development lifecycle that we're talking about, I still want my architects and my engineering leaders to be accountable for the quality and the security product and have to do that. But I want them to be able to run fast with their agents. So we have the agents doing their work, and I want them to be able to say, yes, I approve that particular thing. And because when you don't have the code to look at, what the governance model has to be some human saying, yes, I approve what's happening here. And then you have the audit trail and accountability that's built into them.
And I would add to that, the quality of evaluations and how you backtest against evals also becomes super critical.
Yeah.
And what you want is any kind of testing that happens in a harness that is independent from that work that the agent is doing.
Yeah.
And that separation of concerns is also a human in the loop kind of thing.
Right.
Where you want some strong auditability that not only did the agent do what it was supposed to do, but that the human inserted at the correct control point and make sure that that happens.
Right, right. And that's what that gives the opportunity to say, okay, this is the process that I'm going to use, and then I'm going to sign off on that process, and I, Phil, signed off on that process.
Yes.
And then we go and execute it over here, and then somebody else in the team can actually run the process or do the thing. So you have to almost rethink the sort of accountability and governance model in an agentic world compared to, previously I would just go, you created all the boxes and sign it off.
Yeah, and I think that, I have sort of a counter perspective to we hear a lot of sort of doom and gloom and like, well, agents are gonna, the amount of context for which you have to provide for software to do a good job is about to explode.
Yes.
Because the cost of delivering software is going to go down, but then the cost of making sure that software is doing quality things will go up because there are inherent dangers in agents doing things without proper context.
Absolutely.
That's where you can start to see real harms.
Yeah.
And so I feel very optimistic that organizations like ours are coming together to build these frameworks that allow a strong authorization with reliable guardrails for agentic progress.
I agree completely. I think what these agentic world allows us and our customers to do is just move incredibly fast.
Yeah.
However, it's like my analogy, and I like racing cars. My analogy is like my go-kart that I had when I was 3 or 4 years old. Didn't need much protection, but if I was in an F1 car, I used the governance and telemetry around it to make sure. And so Yubico provides that, Delinea provides that, and you really help give our customers the guardrails of how we deliver the secure agentic world.
Absolutely. So the capability that we integrated with Delinea is called the role delegation token.
Yep.
I will be talking about it a ton because we know that this concept of having a clear intent envelope that you sign and having attenuated scope that constrains tool use to the exact things that you really care about is going to become a very important part of building software securely, and it'll actually extend to domains beyond building software.
Absolutely, that's fair. Super fun having.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy here at RSAC. So I'm going to go tour around and see what a lot of people are doing. What's your plans for the rest of the day?
Just a lot of interesting customer conversations and partner conversations. And also just walking the floor. I like spending time walking the floor. Because you just get to understand. You understand a lot of what's going on in the coalface by walking them.
Yeah, I tend to go to the startup booths.
It's
very interesting. Yeah.
All right, fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.